welcome to my Stop Fighting with Your Son podcast. If this is your first time here, I recorded 4 episodes especially for you to help you eliminate the fights right away and start connecting with your boy as soon as possible. Go to episodes 54 through 59. I have 4 boys of my own, and I know better than anyone how much you want to have a good relationship with your boy and all the things that can come in your way. If you are a mom of boys, I am the coach for you. Let's go. Hey guys, how are you doing? I'm just sitting on the porch in my house and I'm having a little coffee and thinking about you. And I think this will be super helpful for you. We're actually leaving to see grandparents again. And so I'm pre-recording this for you especially. And I want to share a little story about me, and I think it'll be helpful for you because it's something that was helpful for me. So, how did I deal with jealousy yesterday? I met some of the parents of my kid's friend, and we got to chatting. I got to know them a little bit. They're lovely people, and I found out they were telling me about the place where they live. On the street that they live is a cul-de-sac, which is kind of like a dead end, right? So a bunch of houses together and there's not much traffic. And on that cul-de-sac, they have a bunch of families who live. And they actually turned out over the years, they became really good friends with them. A couple of families, such good friends, and they actually have kids about the same age who always play together, and such good friends that they actually travel together, and basically the whole summer the kids get to play together, hide and seek and hockey and biking and going over to each other's houses, and it just sounds so lovely when I heard it. And it also reminded me of what my mom always told me, that she grew up with something similar. So in their yard, which was right outside of the high rises that they lived in, there's in high rises, right? Obviously there's a lot of kids, and they would all have the same yard, which is great because all summer long they would get to play together. So it was just this huge community. They would have social time all the time, and kids loved playing outside all day, every day, all summer because they wanted to play with other kids, right? So having that in my mind and hearing what those people were saying, I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. I would love that for my boys. And because we don't have that, the street we live on, we know some kids, but they kind of live far away, and we don't interact with them in any other way in the community. It's not in school, so we don't really know them. And so the kids never even have a chance to play with them. And so it's not really that kind of street or neighborhood. So my kids don't have that social kind of neighborhood for them. And so here I was feeling a little bit jealous, right? Feeling like, oh my gosh, we're missing out. My kids are missing out. I would love that for my kids. And so I felt that kind of stinging, a little bit jealousy, like, oh no, darn, like we don't have that, right? So again, I want to, because I am aware that thoughts create our feelings, I knew that us not having that social neighborhood, us not having it is not causing my jealousy, right? I knew it's my thought about it. So I thought, okay, obviously I'm thinking we're missing out. I wish we had that. Those thoughts are creating jealousy. And I let that be there. I was like, oh, there you go, right? I see it. I feel it. Not too much, but, it was there. I was like, darn, I really wish we had that. So, but the way I dealt with it, because it doesn't feel good, right? We don't want to feel like we're missing out in life about anything, right? Even though it's a normal feeling and we have that and it comes from our thought. But you don't want to stay there too long, right? You don't want to believe that your life is worse off than it actually is, right? You don't want to think that you could have it better. So the way I've dealt with it is the way I've dealt with it in other occasions. So this other thought that helped me has already been practiced a bit. So that's why it was a bit easier. So if you want to try that, you'll have to kind of play around with different thoughts to see how they feel for you, to find the right answer for you. And so the thought that worked for me is, the reason why we don't have that in our life is because we don't need it. And that makes so much sense to me, because I'm a true believer that the universe only sends us things and situations and people that we need, or that we could benefit from, or that we want, or something that is meant for us, right? And so then I deduct, okay, if we don't have that, then we must not need it. Right? So you see that? So again, this is just a thought. It doesn't mean it's true. Maybe we do need it, right? Like, what's the truth? The truth is what we believe. So what makes sense to me is that if we don't have that, then we don't need it. Then we're not meant to have it. And it's true. As soon as I think that and believe it, then I start to look for evidence of how that's true, right? And then I want to prove that thought to myself. I want to feel good about it, right? I'm like, oh, right, that's true. We don't need it. We have 4 kids. Guess what happens with 4 kids? They have social time all the time. They play together all the time, and they have lots of different combinations of who can play with who, and they're constantly growing, and they have some friends come over sometimes for a play date, right? So we don't really need it. The kids have lots of opportunity to play with other kids because there's 4 of them. So that's how I dealt with it yesterday. And it makes sense to me. And that's actually how I like to answer any of my jealousy whenever it happens. Then I back up and I'm like, oh, if we don't have that in our life, then maybe we're not meant to have it. Maybe we don't need it, right? And the other way around, if I do have something in my life, then I think, oh, there must be something in it for me, right? Maybe it's a benefit for me. Maybe there's a lesson here for me. Maybe I'm meant to have this. And especially for struggles, like, I do believe that if we have it, we're meant to have it. Like, that we are supposed to have what we have. So that helps me not argue with it. That helps me not feel frustrated about what's going on, right? So I hope this is helpful for you. I want you to start thinking, how do you respond to your jealousy? Do you just keep it and carry it around with you and wish you had something someone else doesn't? Or do you answer it in some way? How do you deal with it? How do you justify? How do you get rid of feeling jealous, right? What's your solution to it? And if you don't have one, I recommend you play around with different answers to it, right? And there's no one right one for you, except you'll know it by how it feels, right? So if you have no idea how to solve it right now when you're jealous, you could simply put it out to the universe in a way by saying, you can say, I would love to not be jealous. I would love to solve this jealousy, or I would love to feel better, right? You can say, universe, show me 5 different ways to solve this jealousy problem. And then believe and be open to seeing those answers, to seeing those examples. And they will come, they will appear, and you will see them. And then you can just pick and choose and try them out, right? It's a process. And it's also a practice. So once I've tried believing this thought, I don't need it. If I don't have it, I must not need it. It becomes stronger each time, right? So the first time I was like, oh, really? I don't know. I'm not fully there. But each time I believe it, it makes it stronger, and it gives me a relief from jealousy. So that is a human emotion, but we also need to have answers for some of these poisonous thoughts. Like, jealousy is a feeling that comes from a thought that's not serving us, right? So it's good to have like a set of answers in our head for things like that. And I hope this was helpful for you, because I know that I am so grateful to have the answer to that, to not feel jealous, and to think of it and think, oh, this is lovely for other people, but I'm also happy with what we have, right? Like, we're not dealt the same situation as them, and that's totally fine. All right, guys, I love you so, so much. I would love to hear from you, what you're struggling with, how are you doing with your son. So I do talk about different things on this podcast, but my main mission is to help you make peace with your relationship with your son. And that may mean different things to different people. It may mean that you are at peace with how you show up with your son. It may mean that you are at peace with how he shows up with you, right? Maybe you're frustrated about what he's doing. It may mean that you get rid of guilt forever. You have no guilt whatsoever about any of your parenting. It may mean that you have no worry going into the future, like zero worries and full peace and trust. Imagine how that would feel for you to have fully trust what's going to happen to your son and to you. What would that mean to you to have that peace of mind and to never worry again? What would that mean to you? Did you know that it's actually possible for you? It's possible for you no matter what is going on for you and your son. And I can help you get there. I know I have the tools and the way to deal with your brain so that you can actually have that for yourself for the rest of your life. That's what I want for you. And so this is what I can help you with. I would love to talk to you. If you have any problems with you and your son, this is what I'm here for. You can go to my website, which is www.coachingnatalia.com. But also, that's why I cover other topics like last one was on how to keep the weight off, jealousy, because we are not only moms of sons, right? We have a full life of different things that are going on for us and struggles that we all share. So I throw it all in there because my podcast is every week. So that's why I want to share all those things with you, and you can pick and choose what you listen to. But remember that I'm here to help you with you and your son. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon, and I love you and have a good week. Bye.